Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Name One Player podcast. My name is Nicole. I am your host. And before we get into the episode, I just want to say a huge thank you to every single person who has hit play today. If you are a returning listener, thank you so much for coming back. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm glad that you listened to whatever episode that you listened to in the past. Maybe it was one of them. Maybe it was all of them. I think this is episode like 42 now, 41 maybe. I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy that I keep putting these out, but I love it. I love it, and I ain't stopping anytime soon. But regardless of how many episodes you've listened to, thank you so much for coming back. It means so much to me. On the flip side of that, if you are a new listener and this is the first time you've ever hit play on the Name One Player podcast, huge welcome to you. I am so glad that you are here, and I hope that you love it. The Name One Player podcast is a place for women to talk about the sports teams that they love, and to probably nobody's surprise, today we are talking about the Minnesota Vikings. And if you listened to the episode last week, I have to put out a formal statement, a formal apology, maybe. I don't know. But essentially, I just have to go on the record as saying that I was wrong. Like, I was fully wrong about two of my takes that I had last episode. If you didn't get a chance to listen, I really just threw the episode together. It was a little bit of a hot mess, but it was fun to do, to be honest. It was fun to kind of not think too much and just get it out there. But I had 4 main takeaways from the first 2 weeks of the NFL season, and 2 of my takes were just plain wrong. They were plain wrong, and I couldn't be happier about them, because the takes that I had that were wrong were that the Green Bay Packers are the best team in football right now. Wrong. Because they lost to the Browns, and I spent like a good, I don't even know, 10 minutes just like raving about how amazing they were looking, and like honestly it felt like a knife in the chest every nice thing that I said about the Green Bay Packers. But then I did end it with being like, but if they do lose to the Browns this Sunday, which has now happened, I take everything back. The Packers actually aren't good at all, and it was just two lucky games. 2 lucky games, that's it. And whew, oh gosh, was it delightful to see that the Green Bay Packers lost that game. But I was not watching the game, because I was watching the Minnesota Vikings. And the second take that I do need to, again, apologize for, put out a statement that I was wrong, was that this just isn't the Minnesota Vikings year, that we just need to accept it. We just need to move on. I believe I said that we need to relax, and that part I don't think is wrong. I do think that Minnesota Vikings, fans as a whole, myself included, could take an Ambien because it's bad. Sometimes we just need to freaking relax. But, I said that we just might not win any more games. I said that we have Carson Wentz. We have our quarterback of the future that we drafted that just isn't doing what we all hoped. And that now we have this backup quarterback, and we might just need to accept that, like, it's just not going to happen this year. But I am happy to announce that the hope is back. The delusion is back, and I'm happy about it. I'm happy about it, baby. We had the Minnesota Vikings beat the Cincinnati Bengals 48-10. To be fair, I did expect a win against the Bengals, but not that kind of win. Not that kind of win. And I'm just so happy. I'm so excited. And this momentum that we have now moving into these international games. It is Tuesday morning. We are recording. And the Vikings are about to hop on a plane tomorrow, and they're about to go to Dublin. And they've never been there before. They haven't, but they have been to London many times. A lot of the team is going to be used to traveling and getting over this jet lag and playing and doing really well. Have the Vikings lost an international game? I don't know. I feel like maybe because they played the Saints and they won that game. then I don't know. Then was it the year after that they played the Jets? I don't know. I might be missing a year. I'm not sure. But anyways, the point is the Vikings have played overseas many times. And I think that they are going to be looking good for these games. And we are going to talk about these games. We're going to talk mainly about the Steelers game because that is the first game on Sunday morning for me, Sunday afternoon for anybody in the UK. And very exciting news. We have a returning guest to the Name One Player podcast. Jess is joining us today, and you may remember that me and Jess actually did an episode when I was still living in London and the Vikings were about to play the Jets. We were heading into week 5. We were undefeated, 4-0 at that point. And we were feeling freaking good. We were giving our projections for that game and just talking about the week that was coming up with all of the Vikings events. In that moment, like it's crazy looking back, and I'm sure Jess agrees, looking back at that moment and just not knowing how good it was about to be. Oh, so beautiful. But then I think we did lose. We had our bye the week after, and then I moved home, and then we lost to the Rams, I believe. Was it the Rams or was it the Lions? I don't know, but I know we lost. And that humbled us real quick. But that's okay. We don't need to talk about that part. The part that we need to talk about is that the Minnesota Vikings right now are on a win streak in Europe, and hopefully we can continue that. Hopefully we can continue that for at least one more game in Dublin, and then the second game the following week in London. Jess also is very involved in the UK and Ireland Minnesota Vikings fan club. She's doing an amazing job, and I've given so many shout outs to this team of people, but I'm going to give another one because I just can't speak highly enough about the UK and Ireland Vikings fan club. They are just amazing. They are so amazing. They made me feel so welcome. And anybody who may be listening who is going to the games, definitely go find these guys. Go follow them on Instagram. I'll be sure to share all of their social links. Go meet up with them. Go follow along with what they're doing because they really do make the experience of the Vikings playing in Europe so great. But I think we should just hop into the episode with Jess. I am so excited to have her back on and to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. Again, this is not a Minnesota Vikings podcast, but every time I do a Vikings episode, I'm like, should it be though? Should this just be a Minnesota Vikings podcast? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Maybe I should. I don't know. I'm so conflicted about it, but that's not the point. The point is we are here with Jess today, and we're going to talk about the Vikings week 3 win against the Bengals and talk about what we think is going to happen weeks 4 and a little bit of week 5, but mainly week 4. All right, everybody, without further ado, please welcome Jess. All right, everybody, we have Jess here with us. Thank you so much for coming on. This is actually your second time on the Name One Player podcast, so thank you for coming back. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm super excited to be back. Of course, when you asked me, I was like, I'm going to jump at the chance to be back on one of my favorite podcasts. So yeah, super excited to be back.
Well, I mean, first of all, I miss you so much. Like living in London and like having a girlfriend who just knew Vikings football was just so much fun. And well, I kind of spoiled it. Spoiler alert, you live in the UK. For anybody who doesn't know and maybe who didn't listen to your last episode, tell me and the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, of course. So, yeah, I live just outside of London, so about half-hour train journey outside of London, so not too far away. And I have been following the Vikings for about 8 years now, I think. Started when I was on holiday in the US, saw a game on the TV in my hotel room, watched it, and just fell in love with it and wanted to learn more. And I have been on this crazy Viking roller coaster ever since, and I wouldn't change it for the world. Would not change it for the world.
It really is the craziest thing, but it really is a roller coaster, isn't it? And that is a nice segue into the first part of our episode is
Yeah.
recapping week 3 against the Bengals. And I actually did an episode last week, and it was a super random episode. I wasn't even going to put one out. I was going to take a break that week, but I was like, might as well just like talk to the camera. Why not? And I had 4 takeaways from weeks 1 and 2 of the NFL. And one of the takeaways was that the Minnesota Vikings fans, including myself, especially myself, just need to relax. Just need to relax and just kind of need to accept that maybe JJ McCarthy isn't going to solve all of our problems, maybe. And maybe we just need to accept that this is a rebuilding year, not even a rebuilding year. I don't even know because I feel like we have the parts, but I guess rebuilding, just like putting those parts together and laying the foundations, a foundational year.
Mhm.
And just accept that. And I did think that we were going to win the game against the Bengals, but I did not expect it to be that kind of win. I did not expect to be as happy as I was. But my question for you is, what were your thoughts before going into the game?
So I don't know if I had mentioned this the last time I was on, but I am the most optimistic Vikings fan ever.
You really are.
Absolutely Delulu when it comes to Vikings, and every single time I'm like, we're gonna win. Even when we lose, like the next week, I'm like, yeah, but we're gonna win this time. I always go in expecting a win, and if it doesn't, obviously bitterly disappointed. Yeah, I obviously the first week it took us a lot like to get going. We came out, it was really, really slow start. The first 3 quarters, we didn't look good in our first game back. But then obviously we picked it up towards the end, got the win. And then second week, it was kind of a repeat. There was a lot of clear problems on the O line, especially, and it just made it a really tough watch, especially when it was another 1 a.m. game in the UK. This week, again, I was like, oh, it's fine. That week's behind us. We're going to win this one for the Bengals. You know, I was a bit concerned because of Jamar Chase, that sort of uh, competition between him and Jets is clearly very strong. And the last time we played the Bengals, we played them in Cincinnati. It's like now he's coming to our house, and I really don't want him to show Jets up. But yeah, I think we absolutely smashed it amazingly. So very happy.
Jamar Chase too. Did he have any targets? Really? I don't, nothing's coming to mind. It's funny too though, because the girl that I was going up against, I'm in like an all-girl fantasy league and I'm loving it. But the girl I'm going up against had Justin Jefferson. And I told her before the game, I'm like, look, I'm not even gonna be upset if you win.
Yeah.
Because I would love for Justin Jefferson to just have an absolute blowout of a game. And like he kind of did, maybe not blowout in Justin Jefferson terms, but like he had a great game. But I did sign Jordan Mason on waivers the previous week. Picked him up. I dropped Austin Eckler because he's out, and I was like, okay, Jordan Mason. When we signed him in the offseason, I feel like a lot of the off-season moves I don't really care too much about during the off-season, but it's so nice to see how well they're actually paying off when they do pay off really well. It's lovely to see him doing a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And going back to like comparing that to Jamar Chase as well, I think Jamar Chase had like 1 carry for like 9 yards for the whole game. So we really, really locked him down. Jordan Mason did absolutely incredible. I tried to get him on waivers on my fantasy and someone just beat me to it, which was so annoying because I had Austin Eckler too. So obviously had to pick him when he got injured. But yeah, Jordan Mason had an incredible game. I think, what was it, 2 touchdowns and he had like 116 yards or
It
something.
was
Yeah, really, really
incredible.
good game. Which shows as well that we've got a really good RB2 for Aaron Jones because I had Aaron Jones also on I'm in 2 leagues this year and had Aaron Jones in one. Put a lot of sort of faith in, like knew he was obviously getting more of a veteran now and more injury and stuff. But I was like, I'm still going to put that faith in him. In those first 2 games, I was just like, maybe he's not RB1 anymore, and which is a shame because I absolutely love him, especially as a person. He like I was lucky enough to meet him last year. Super, super lovely person. But yeah, you can do see the difference now with Jordan Mason, like that young, fresh pair of legs coming in, like really made such a difference in the game.
Yeah, I know. I think it's great. And I felt the same way about Aaron Jones too. I always laugh when Packer players come over and then like you spent so many years being like, oh, I don't like that guy. But then he comes over to the Vikings and it's like, wow.
Yeah, I love him.
And it does make me laugh because it does go to show it's like really amazing people can play for teams that you don't like. That's okay. That doesn't make them a bad person. Yeah, Aaron Jones I think is amazing, but I did too kind of think the same thing moving into the season. It's like this could like either he's going to have a great season or he's going to show that like he is getting up there, like the running back position is so hard on the body, and you do become so injury prone, and maybe he's just unfortunately kind of out of his prime. But I don't know if we can necessarily say that yet. But I do think that Jordan Mason is having a bit more success and a bit more luck right now. But maybe that's just the way that they're calling up the plays. Who knows? I do not know. But speaking of plays and executing them, Carson Wentz, what were your thoughts about him? I mean, before the game, seeing that he was going to step up and seeing that JJ was injured, and then during the game, seeing how he played.
Well, I was trying to hold not too much expectation with Carson Wentz. Obviously, he's played for a lot of teams. I think he made history and playing like for 6 teams in 6 years when he started for the Vikings this time. So, I've sort of seen him play before as a backup and things. I think I came into the NFL just as he was coming off of like being the starting quarterback. So I didn't get to see too much of his prime, but obviously I've just seen him support as like backups. Yeah, so I didn't really have too much expectation. We're sort of relying on the fact that when we've had to use like backup quarterbacks in the past, sometimes, not always, but it's pleasantly surprised us. Like when we think
Yeah,
about like Josh Dobbs, for
yeah,
example. Um,
yeah. That was a glorious 1 week.
3 games or something, and then it tanked. But it's fine. Those 3 games were great. Yeah, I tried to not have too much expectation, but then I saw sort of like some of the pre-game stuff around him being like a lifelong Vikings fan and things, and then that was like for me, I was like, oh come on, man, like this has got to be it now. Like surely, if you're coming to the team that you've supported your whole life, like you're gonna play to impress. And I think he did. Like, I think he did really well for his first game with us. 2 touchdowns off the back of it. Like, used his legs, got out the pocket in a lot of situations. I don't think there was ever a point where I was like concerned for the way he was playing. I think he impressed. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple things to that. I completely agree. And just kind of how you were talking about like how like sometimes we have really great luck with these backup quarterbacks. And I do think a lot of the time that does have to do with Kevin O'Connell. He's been referred to as the quarterback whisperer. And I am kind of starting to think like maybe there is that piece of he takes these more veteran quarterbacks and like ignites some new spark in them because and a completely different situation with JJ McCarthy. Like his first NFL games, like that was the thing that I talked about last week. I think it is kind of crazy that myself included was expecting him to just be the best quarterback in football. Like looking back, that was a little bit insane and you can't necessarily expect that. Would that have been amazing if he could have done that the entire 2 games that he played? Yeah, but that's just not how it works and that's okay. But I was expecting Kevin O'Connell to just work his magic with JJ McCarthy, and I'm sure that time will come. I'm sure they will get there. But I think it's just so fun to see him take these quarterbacks, Kirk Cousins, Josh Dobbs, Sam Darnold, too. Now Carson Wentz, and just like reignite something in them is really exciting to see. And to your point, too, I also didn't know that Carson Wentz was from Minnesota. So then hearing him say, like, he used to go to the Metrodome, he used to do the school chant, like, the fact that he's playing for Minnesota and he never, like, throughout his career wasn't actively being like, get me to Minnesota, but like the fact that he's here now and is able to step up. And I think he has so much to prove, especially with the point that we're at with JJ McCarthy. It's a really weird little thing because, of course, the Vikings, like JJ McCarthy is our quarterback of the future. I don't think there's any point to argue that. I think that's what's happening here. I think he just had a rough 2 games and I think he will come back. But Carson Wentz has everything to prove right now. Like, if he plays amazingly, like, who knows? They might start looking at this and being like, maybe we do get Carson Wentz to keep playing and to ease JJ McCarthy back in because I think right now it's estimated for him to come back against the Eagles, JJ McCarthy. And it's like maybe we don't want to do that.
Yeah, I think the McCarthy situation's so tough because obviously I was having this discussion with a friend the other day, and it's like he missed his first year in the NFL because of the injury. So I feel like there is a lot more pressure on him because there's so many eyes on him. Like when you look at the NFL like socials page, for example, like the pressure they were kind of putting on like it was all eyes on JJ McCarthy, really. It was like his first game. Everyone else in his draft class, they've already had a year experience in the NFL. Like, yes, McCarthy was on the sidelines learning, watching and everything, but he didn't get to experience being on the field and playing. So I do feel like there is a lot more pressure on him because of the eyes of like him being a year behind and everyone's kind of watching him. And obviously we've kind of put a lot as a team into him being our franchise quarterback and the quarterback of the future. So I think I'm not concerned yet. I think it's just maybe a little nerves, maybe a little wobble. Like there is obviously, like I said, like there's so much weighing on him. I think once he gets into his stride, I feel good about him. I do. I'm going to say it. I feel good about him.
Well, and I mean, again, this is just proving my point that this is not only a Minnesota Vikings podcast, because I do have a Packers podcast lined up. But to your point about, yeah, I know, right? Why? But it's going to be really great. It's going to be a great one. But to your point about quarterbacks, like they do take some time, and even the quarterbacks like in his draft class, like I can't really think of any of them that are like really popping off like in this way that like they're just taking over the league. Well, I guess him and Jaden Daniels, are they from the same? That's a little bit different, but that's besides the point, because that doesn't support my point that I'm about to make. That's okay. Daniels, I wish him all the best of luck. I think he's doing great. But the point that I made last week on the podcast was that Jordan Love did not look as good as he looks now, and he looks great. But then also he did lose against the Browns, so I don't know how great you're looking there. I didn't actually watch the game, obviously, because I was locked into the Vikings game, but seeing the score after that, ooh, that was a just the cherry on top. But Jordan Love, like he was, benched watching Aaron Rodgers for the first couple years. And then even when he was starting, he was not playing the way that he's playing now. Like it's taken some time, and maybe I'm just not feeling patient, or I'm just so desperate for the Vikings to like give me some joy. I don't know. But it does take time. A lot of the time, these quarterbacks are not just phenomenal right from the start, and that's okay. One last point that I definitely want to touch on for the game that we just watched on Sunday. Isaiah Rodgers, what the heck was that?
I can't believe it. Going back to fantasy, I have Vikings defense in one of my fantasy leagues, so I'm absolutely buzzing. He scored me a big 35 points. I was
That
so
is
happy.
not. My gosh. Well, yeah, I think our defense, and okay, also too, I say this with a grain of salt too, because it's like, I do fully acknowledge we've only watched 3 games. Like, we can't really say a whole lot because it's been 3 games. But what I was going to say is that I feel like our defense was what was keeping us together, which is again kind of a crazy statement to make after only 3 games, and we had won, well, now 2 of them. But our defense, I wasn't concerned as much about them. But yeah, seeing Isaiah Rodgers, I think PFF is like not really that cool. Like, I don't know the scores. Sometimes I'm just like, who are these guys making up these scores? This is ridiculous. But the fact that he got a 99.99, which has never been done before,
Yeah,
I'm like,
history.
PFF, you guys make total sense.
Yeah, it does absolutely make total sense now. I just can't honestly believe it. Like, it was so fun to watch. So, so fun. And to have in that first quarter alone, like offense touchdown and then defensive touchdown within the first quarter, I was like, oh, okay, right. Maybe we're onto something here. But then it was funny because so I went to the Hippodrome to watch it. And the fan club that I'm part of, we put on a watch party at the Hippodrome, and I turned to one of my friends there and I said, "Do you remember the last time we had a watch party and watched the Bengals play because we were winning then?" And they were like, "Don't say it." And I was like, "Oh no, we're still gonna win. Like it's fine." But just watching Isaiah Rodgers in that game, like he clearly had fire in his belly, absolutely crazy breakout game for him. Kevin O'Connell's speech at the end when he gave him the game ball as well, like goosebumps.
It's so nice to see just fun Minnesota Vikings football back. And I go back and forth because, and it's like crazy to say, but like, sometimes that roller coaster is great, especially when it ends in a win. But sometimes it's just nice to be dominant the entire game and feel comfortable the entire game. And I feel like we didn't really have that for a very long time. Thankfully, we did have that last season. And I remember too, we talked about this on the last episode that you were on. I guess we were going into week 5 at that point, and it was a new feeling, just being excited and feeling confident. And I remember going to week 1 because I was talking to this guy recently who's a Giants fan, and I told him, I'm like, "Honestly, last season, week 1, Vikings Giants was one of my favorite days of my life," because it was such a shock to see the Vikings come out with Sam Darnold too, and, like, just be so dominant and, like, beginning to end, just in control of the game, and we don't often see that, and it was nice to see that.
Yeah, it really was. And I think that's been the thing that was lacking the first two games, wasn't it? It was that kind of, this is the Vikings we all kind of know, in that we're really slow to get going. We doesn't look like we've got it all figured out yet. Like the pieces aren't fitting together. First three quarters really tough to watch, and last quarter it's like, oh, now we play like we want to win. So it was actually, yeah, so nice to watch them come out on Sunday and just, I think we, that first touchdown was on the first drive, right? So like straight away it was
Yeah,
like, okay, this is what we've
like,
been
here
missing.
we go.
Yeah, like this is it. This is what we
Yeah.
need. This is what we've missed from the last 2 weeks. So that was when I knew, like, okay, something special is about to happen in this game. I didn't quite expect 48 on the board. I think a lot of our butts weren't on our seats for most of that game.
Well, you know what? I can't think of a better way to go into flying across the ocean and being locked in for a game than what just happened. Like coming off of a 48-10 win and feeling confident. If this had been a loss, and I know we've like had conversations about this so many times, like I think the magic piece of the Minnesota Vikings, like obviously it's not fully magic because we can't quite get there to the end, but the fact that this team has such great chemistry and is just happy to be there. They're happy to show up and play Vikings football every single week. And I was a little bit nervous after week 2 that that attitude and that chemistry was kind of dipping. So I honestly don't know how this would have been if it was a loss last week, and then you got to get on a plane and be in Europe for 2 weeks, and that I think could have been really tough, but thankfully it's not going to be that way. They're getting on this plane, they're happy, they're excited, they're coming off of this major win. And also too, just little side note, that was the biggest Bengals deficit ever, and that's a stat that I would imagine hearing from the Vikings. I didn't
Yeah, yeah.
that from another team. So, I mean, good segue here, though. Leading into the international games, you are going to both of them. This is the first time that there's ever been a game in Dublin. You are no stranger to going to the international games when they take place in London. Have you gone to all of the Vikings ones that have been there recently, or?
Yeah, so I was there last year, but the previous one I actually missed. So the 2022 one I missed because I flew out to the States the day
I
before the game.
right.
So I just missed that one. But yeah, so in the time that I've been watching the Vikings, I've seen them once in London.
Okay. Well, I mean, and I say this all the time to anybody who will listen to me. The Minnesota Vikings international marketing team is so incredible because when I was in London, and like I lived in London at that time, so it was really cool to just like hop on the tube and like go to my own home and just seeing Vikings like banners all around, seeing the tube stations being
Yeah.
purple. It genuinely felt like I was in Minnesota, and, like, going to Tottenham Hotspur and, like, the fact that the Minnesota Vikings were the home team, genuinely, it felt like I was at US Bank Stadium for a little bit, and it was amazing. I loved it. I loved every second of it. But the Vikings are the away team for both of the games coming up. So, do you think that's going to have any influence on how the game might go? Maybe how many fans show up for the Vikings? What's your take on that?
So I think even though we're the away team, I still feel like we're going to feel like the home team.
Yeah.
I've been to 3 Vikings games now, all 3. Unfortunately, not at US Bank yet. I will get there one day, but I've
Yeah.
seen the Vikings in Vegas, in Miami, and in London, and all 3 games, the amount of Vikings fans that traveled. Like Vegas felt like a home game, Miami felt like a home game, and obviously London last year was a home game. But I honestly feel like it both will feel like home games. I know a lot of fans that are going to both. Obviously, I'm not in any Steelers groups or anything, so I probably haven't seen as much sort of social noise around that. But from what I'm seeing and on all of the social medias and stuff, there are a lot of fans traveling over from the US for Dublin, especially. So I think it's going to feel like a home game. I think the fans will be there. They'll be loud. I think it's going to be like, yeah, I think it's going to be home away from home. I honestly do.
I gotta tell you, I'm like so upset that I'm not there.
That too. I wish you were coming.
Me too. And I tried. I honestly I did try to make it work, and it's sad to think about that like I'd be there right now, but that's okay. I mean, the way that things work with the Vikings, who knows, they might even be in London or Dublin again next year. And before we get into your predictions for the actual gameplay against the Steelers, seeing Aaron Rodgers again, we saw him last year playing with the Jets. We saw him lose, which was just I love an Aaron Rodgers loss. Like,
Me too.
sorry, I'm usually a very like looking for happiness for all people. Not that I don't want Aaron Rodgers to be happy, but I don't want him to win any football games. I'm willing to go on record and say that. But before we get into the actual, gameplay, I want to hear about the UK Minnesota Vikings fan club. Tell me about all the events that are going on. You have a pretty active role within the fan club. So let me know about what's going on for mainly Dublin, but then also the London game as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So Dublin, the fan club have set up a bit of a tailgate, so a pre-game tailgate. We will be at Phil Ryan's Hogan stand in Dublin. So it's quite central from 12:30. So before the game, come on down. If you're in Dublin, come down to Phil Ryan Hogan stand. It's going to be a very good time. We're going to have a lot of fans there, a lot of the members of the fan club, the admin team. We're working on plans at the moment to get a little drum over there so that we can skull march down with the drum.
Right.
But with or without the drum, the fan club, we always do our little skull march to the stadium anyway, to Croke Park before the game. We'll all sort of march down and clap the way along,
Yeah.
make our presence known. So that's for Dublin. Also, one really big thing to mention, if anyone does know the fan club, our vice president, John McDonald. He is doing an incredible journey. So from Monday, the day after the game, he is cycling on his bike all the way from Dublin to London. So Monday after the game, and then getting into London on the Saturday before the London game, cycling all by himself, over 600 kilometers bike ride, doing absolutely like massive journeys each day to get there in time for the next game. And he's doing it all by himself, and it's in aid of Mind charity. So if you don't know, Mind are a mental health charity. They do incredible work to support people with mental health problems, mental health illnesses, and also support families of people that have been through things with mental health illnesses. So John has been training super hard for that. He's been like working so hard over the last few months, all by himself again. It can get really lonely sometimes, but we're all here backing him. And if you want to donate, I'm sure I can pop you over a link, Nicole, and we can share it out. But there is a Just Giving page or GoFundMe page, £2,000 target at the moment. I think we're on about 1,400 as I checked this morning. So we're getting there. So we'll all be cheering John up on Monday as he leaves on his journey. And then for the London games, again, we've got a bit of a tailgate. So our usual spot, if you've been before, at the Two Brewers in the Victoria in London, so just around the corner from Tottenham Stadium.
I miss it.
It was very good last year. There was hundreds of people in the streets, and just the vibes were absolutely immaculate. So yeah, we'll be putting those stuff on, but all of the info's on the UK and Ireland Vikings fan club pages on all of the socials, Facebook, Insta, Blue Sky, all of those kind of things.
Amazing. Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned John's journey because it's so incredible what he is doing. I absolutely, once this episode is out, I will be posting that link for everybody to go donate if you can. It's such an incredible cause and just such an incredible journey that he's doing.
Yeah.
That in itself, like, so amazing, so hard, so respectable. So, John, good luck to you. Definitely, please make sure you're like posting videos on the Monday when you send them off. I can't wait to see that. How are you feeling about the game? Have you seen too much of the Steelers play? I'll be honest, I really haven't. I haven't been following along too closely with them. If I don't have to look at what Aaron Rodgers is doing, then I will not. But how do you think they're going to fare against the Vikings?
So yeah, I haven't watched too much of the actual gameplay footage, but I have been keeping up with the scores and everything as the weeks have gone on. And I do have TJ Watt in one of my fantasy leagues, so I've been keeping an eye on him closely. But they won their first game, they lost week 2, and then they won again this week just gone. But I feel like they've had some quite easy games, and the just one was the Patriots, and like the Patriots aren't that great at the
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling confident. I do think that we'll win this. I don't think it'll be as much of a blowout as the Bengals game. I reckon maybe like 28-17. I think it'll be a bit closer. I don't think it's going to be as tight as the Jets game. Maybe that's because of the huge win and the huge game we've just had that I'm feeling a little bit extra confident. I always think we're going to win anyway, but yeah, I do feel quite comfy with this one. And I don't want to jinx it, but I have seen the Vikings 3 times now, and all 3 times I've seen them, we've won. So I'm about to, maybe make it 4-0 and then 5-0.
There you go. That would be nice. I did want to ask you though, because the people that I have spoken to who live in the UK and Ireland, and the people who are going to this game who are traveling, they were all really excited to see JJ McCarthy in action and play. So, what are your thoughts? Knowing that you're not gonna see him, you're not gonna watch him. I mean, I think you'll see him. I'm sure he'll be there, like on the sidelines, but not geared up, ready to play some football.
Yeah, I am quite gutted because obviously London last year, he should have been with us then, and he wasn't because of his injury. And I feel like I keep having a bit of bad luck when I see the Vikings play. I keep getting our backup. So in Vegas as
Okay.
well, we didn't have Kirk. So Kirk had his injury then, and we actually had Dobbs in and Mullins for a bit. So yeah, I am quite gutted. I did really, really want to see him. I heard that he should be travelling over though with the team, so we may see him on the sidelines. But yeah, I think there is quite a few people are a bit disappointed that we're not going to get to see like our quarterback of the future play. But it is what it is, and the way that Carson Wentz went on Sunday, like I don't think it's a bad thing. Like hopefully it will still be good. But yeah, it is quite disappointing that we're going to miss out on McCarthy season.
Yeah, well, you never know. I was gonna say too, anytime that you do decide to go to US Bank Stadium, let me know because I will do everything I possibly can to make it to that game so that we can hang out. That would
Yeah,
be so much fun because I
okay.
also am undefeated at US Bank Stadium.
You are, yes,
I
you are.
am. I am. So we'll have to see how that goes. I am also undefeated in the games that I've attended in London. So just one. But well, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for this game. I'm excited to get up at 6:30 a.m. and watch on TV. I hope I see some of you guys. That would be so great. What are you going to be wearing to both the games? Have you figured that out?
I haven't yet. I think this year I got 2 new jerseys bought for me. I'm very, very lucky girl. I actually got the Mitchell and Ness Red Moss, the purple one,
Oh
which
my
I
gosh.
love. Yeah, the
Yeah,
throwback
beautiful.
one's super nice. So I'm thinking I might use that one in Dublin.
Okay.
And then I also got the JJ McCarthy Winter Warrior one. So I'm thinking maybe that one for London. So quite two new jerseys, two special jerseys to me. So um not JJ McCarthy at all. It was Justin Jefferson went to Warren. I was just thinking, I don't have a JJ McCarthy jersey. What?
I was like, wow, you know what? Bold. Good for you going for it. But to be honest, I'm like kind of considering getting a Carson Wentz jersey. 11, my favorite number. It's my lucky number. And I feel like I need to get it now. Like I need to jump on it now
But then, do
before.
you know what? It makes me think of when everyone went and bought the Dobbs jerseys after like the 3 games, and then how that panned out. So I'm kind of like, maybe wait a little bit.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. But if I ever see a Dobbs jersey, a Vikings Dobbs jersey, oh, I'm giving that person a pat on the back.
Well, I do think my next one might be Miles Price. So my
Okay.
surname is actually Price, and
Okay.
4, his number, is my birthday date. So I was like, it's kind of meant to be. So
It
I might
kind
get
of is.
yeah, Miles Price jersey is my next one.
Absolutely, especially that first game when he popped off, like, I would've ordered if I you had better self-control than me, that would've been my heart immediately.
Yeah, I think maybe we'll see how the next 2 games go, and then I
Yeah,
might treat myself.
fair enough, fair enough. That's rational of you, good job. Well, you know what? I'm so excited for you and everybody who's there, who's gonna be going to these games. I hope Dublin is a blast. I hope things like run as smoothly as I feel like they do in London because I guess they're so used to it now. Tottenham, like they're a well-oiled machine, and this is the first time the NFL's ever playing in Ireland. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I feel like the NFL like international team that like gets all that organized, they know what they're doing. So I definitely have faith in them.
Yeah, 100%. And it looks like the Vikings, even though it's away games as well, looks like they're organising some events for fans as well. So as well as our fan club events that we've got going on, it looks like the actual Vikings organisation are putting on a few bits as well. I know in London on the Saturday, the day before the game at Battersea Park, there's a big like fan event. So I'm going to be heading down to that. Should be good.
I saw that and I was like, that was so close to where I used to live.
I'll get lots of videos for you.
Thank you. Please, please do that. Would make me feel significantly better. I would appreciate that. Well, yeah, again, I'm hoping for a win for you guys. Hoping that it'll be a fun one, hoping that you can see Aaron Rodgers um not play well.
Yeah.
Again, that's always a nice little thing. Actually, random tangent. What were your thoughts for that like 1 week when it was floating around that he maybe was going to be a Minnesota Viking?
I was like, there's no way in hell this is gonna happen. Like, no way in hell. Like, and if it did happen, I was kind of interested to see if it did, like how many people would suddenly be like, oh, I love him. How many people would turn? But
Yeah.
I was just like, no, this is gotta be clickbait. Surely it's gotta be clickbait. But I'm glad the Adam Thielen one wasn't at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
oh my god. Oh my gosh. I feel like we could have spent the whole episode talking about that. Um, it is though actually on my bench for fantasy. I did draft him before he got traded to the Vikings, but I haven't seen enough of him yet. But I know one. Maybe it's gonna be Dublin. Honestly, watch here. Maybe he's gonna have like the best game of his entire career in Dublin, and he's gonna be sitting on my bench. Maybe.
I mean, I would love that, but I think we've got Addison coming back next
Oh my
week.
god, I totally forgot about that. We have to touch on that too.
Yeah, so yeah, we've got Addison coming back.
So true. That's a major point right there.
Yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, actually, I did touch on this in the last episode too, because of the whole Travis Kelsey and Tyquan Thornton. I don't know if you saw the shirts that they were wearing
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
free.
What
Yeah,
the hell?
I
Yeah.
know. And I was like, if any Minnesota Vikings player did that for Jordan Addison, wearing a shirt saying free three, after his driving situation, and I mean, not to compare and say it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad as Rashee Rice, but like it's still bad. Like
It,
anytime you're and I mean, I don't think he was charged for impaired driving, but like you fell asleep in the middle of the highway. I think we can use our deductive reasoning skills and think that there was something going on. If any Minnesota Vikings player alluded to that publicly and saying like free him, essentially saying like that's okay, I'd be so disappointed. And then if our head coach doubled down and was like, oh, well, they're just trying to make him feel included, like oh my God, I'd be livid at the Vikings organization. So Chiefs fans, I don't know how you're doing that. But anyways,
yeah,
Jordan Addison is back. He has, served his 3-game suspension, which I think was well deserved. That's a whole different conversation about professional athletes getting off with just 3-game suspensions. I don't know, but that's a whole different conversation, but I'm glad he's back. I hope he has reflected on his mistakes.
yeah.
And I hope he is ready to tear it up with Carson Wentz. Wentz to Addison, I think that's going to go pretty hard.
I think so. Yeah, I think he's going to come back with a bit of a fire in his belly now, like a bit of like I've got something to prove. So yeah, I think so. It's going to be good. Good to see him back.
My God, I completely forgot about that. I don't know how we didn't talk about that sooner. Thank you so much for bringing that up. So yeah, I think we're in a pretty good spot against Pittsburgh. I hope. I really do hope. I was going to say that I feel like that's going to be a bit of a tough loss if we do lose that game. But if anything, it might just be this cycle of like, our week 1 win, so good. Week 2 loss was tough, but then you take a few days and you're like, what did we expect? And maybe that is the situation.
I hope so. And even that, saying that, Max Brosma, like from what I saw in preseason,
Mhm.
I felt pretty like good about him. Obviously, we saw him a little bit against the Bengals towards the end there. I would like to think that if we do need to use him as well, we can kind of rely on him a little bit. I hope.
That's an optimistic statement.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm willing to go that far.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're right and we do have to go that route, I'm really hoping that you're correct.
Well, I hope we don't.
All right, Jess. Well, thank you so much for joining. I had a blast. You are welcome anytime you want to talk about the Vikings. Yeah, I hope everything goes well for you guys, and I hope you have the best time ever. I will be sure to post, like you said, John's GoFundMe link and, all the events going on for Vikings fans for the next 2 weeks.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Of course. Thank you so much to Jess for coming on. What a fun episode. I always have fun talking about the Minnesota Vikings. I always have fun talking to Jess. So this was a blast. Like I said with Jess, I have the most FOMO I've ever had, fear of missing out for those who aren't with the lingo. And I'm jealous, but also really happy for everybody going. I'm sad I'm not there with all my friends with the Vikings. That would have been a blast to be in Dublin and London right now, but that's okay. You know what? Maybe I'm like bad luck or something this game. Maybe I'm good luck in Minnesota and London, but I'm bad luck in Dublin. Who knows? I don't know. By the time this is posted, I will make sure to have posted all of the links for the UK and Ireland Vikings fan club. Make sure if you are going to the games that you're following along with where they're going to be at. There's going to be so many amazing things going on, and I can't recommend going to the events enough. Last year, again, it was a little bit different. The Vikings were the home team, but it was a full week of activities, and gosh, it was the best. That was truly one of the best weeks ever, and I miss it, but that's okay. Anyways, the point with that is, if you are going to Dublin or if you are in London and you care about football at all, even just a tiny little bit, they're so fun. You should definitely go to these events if you can get tickets for the games. I do know, like, sometimes you can get cheap last minute tickets, so definitely do that. If you're listening and you're in the UK and you're like, I don't really know, should I go to a game? Go to a game. Go to a game. It's so much fun. But yeah, I will be up bright and early. I've said so many times that a big motivator for me leaving the UK and coming back to Canada was the time zone to watch the NFL in. Like, waking up, first game's on at 10 a.m. Oh, blissful. However, the first game will be on at 6:30 for me. I believe that's 2:30 UK time, but that's okay. That's all right. I will get up real early for the Minnesota Vikings. That's okay. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm about to go to work now, but all I'm going to be able to think about is the Vikings and Vikings football. But that's okay. I wouldn't have it any other way. All right, everybody. Again, thank you so much for listening. Whatever platform you are listening on, please be sure to rate the episode. I think 5 stars is probably appropriate, but I'm not going to tell you what to do. Do whatever you think is best. Please be sure to follow the show, subscribe to the show. Some of the platforms that you may be listening on give you a little option to comment, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode, what your thoughts are leading into the Vikings and the Steelers game. Who do we think is going to win? I was going to say I hope it's the Vikings, but in all honesty, I do think it's the Vikings. Yeah, I think the Vikings are going to win that game. Do I want to commit to that? Yes, I do want to commit to it. But yeah, again, thank you for listening. It means the world to me. I hope you all have a lovely rest of the week. And I hope whatever football team you like, or baseball team that you like, or, European football, soccer, Formula One driver, hockey has started. The NHL, their preseason is going. I'm trying to think, is there anything else going on? I'm sure I'm missing something, but whatever's going on, whatever sport you're into, I hope that the team or the player or the individual that you like is killing it. I hope that for you. Unless you are a Packers, Lions, Bears, or Aaron Rodgers fan, that's too bad. I don't really care. I hope you're happy. I hope things are going well for you personally, but your team, no. No, sorry, no. All right. Okay, now I'm just rambling. I should get going. All right, everyone. Take care. Bye.